Where's my scared? That's not scared. There we go. Hello, my wonderful cultists, and welcome to the first video in a new series on my channel, RPG Horror Stories. Ooh. I love all things horror, so I figured why not branch out a bit? Today's story shows what happens when a player tries to play a character far more clever and politically capable than themselves, only to be undermined by another player who knows what they're doing. So let's get into it, shall we? Many thanks to Reddit user Waxdoll42 for allowing me to share your story. Original post linked in the description below. This story is titled The Crane Courtier Who Could Not Crane or Courtier, Trouble on the High Seas. The game. Legend of the Five Rings. All characters are of the Crane clan. The cast. The Samurai Twins. A brother and sister set of twins who were trained samurai. The Bushi. Hardcore combat character and tactician. The Shugenja, wielder of the mystic arts, an all-around wise man. The Courtier, supposed to be the political/social heavy hitter, but very bad at his job, played by my then boyfriend. The Jester, a sort of courtier who is expected and allowed to be a little rude in their courtly role. My character. Now, for those not familiar with the Legend of the Five Rings, or L5R as it's commonly referred to, it's basically what would happen if you turned a wushu samurai movie into an RPG system. Much of its lore involves political maneuvering between the various clans, and many times the players also get mixed up with these elements. Quite often, actually. Background. I originally wrote my Jester to be rather prim, vain, and difficult. However, within a very short period, I realized that the courtier was taking the role of group a-hole, and he was already twice the arrogant git I had intended to be. So I quickly shifted my character to be quite prim and still very vain, but also super respectful of the skills and talents of the rest of the crew. Basically, sheltered aristocrat out in the world, who is bright enough to realize others in the group have valuable skills that will keep her alive if things get hairy. While my Jester would defer to other characters within their areas of expertise, the courtier decided that he was taking charge in all situations, because he outranked them. Which he technically did, but this was super bad form in, for example, a combat scenario. Ah yes, the arrogance of the Crane clan taken to the extreme. I'm sure if there was a door to be kicked down, he'd be the first to try for it, declaring that he is not impressed by doors. The rest of the group relied on each other for favors and their skills. The courtier had put us all in danger more than once because he wanted everything his way. What this meant was that the rest of the group got along great with everyone else, except the courtier. By the time we got to the mission that is the topic of this piece, the Bushi was going out of her way to do nothing for the courtier if it was not a direct order, and the samurai twins had sworn to challenge the courtier to a duel to the death as soon as our duties were complete. The mission. We were charged with delivering a very important gift from one daimyo, head of a family or clan, to another daimyo who was a very long way away. It's important to note that there was no time limit on the delivery, but it was imperative that the gift arrive intact. Our options were to travel over land, safe but a long journey, or travel by boat, faster but more dangerous. The Bushi obviously recommended the safer but longer route, and was overruled by the courtier. Sea travel it is! We then have two sea travel options: hug the coast, safer but a longer journey, or catapult through the maelstrom, which is basically a death trap with a giant spider and her hideous hordes of giant spider babies waiting at the bottom. But it's super fast. So there we are, getting loaded up onto the ship, which takes some time because the Jester needs many trunks for her makeup, accessories, and outfits. The courtier goes to talk to the ship's captain, and the conversation goes something like this.
Welcome aboard. I am honored to have such esteemed passengers on the ship. I hope you will have a pleasant journey.
Time is of the essence. You will take us the fastest route.
Courtier-sama, the fastest route is the maelstrom. It is very dangerous, and I would not wish to risk your lives.
I said take us the fastest route.
Please, Courtier-sama. Most ships that take the Maelstrom do not come out the other side. I beseech you.
I said take the Maelstrom. Are you deaf? How dare you question me?
As you wish, Courtier-sama.
So, we went through the Maelstrom, and thanks to the captain, not only did the ship make it through and out the other side, but not a single life was lost, though many a lunch certainly was. Anyone want to guess what the courtier did immediately after pulling himself out from under his luggage, which had been thrown about the cabin in the harrowing passage? He marched right up onto the deck and screamed at the captain, "How dare you risk our lives like that? When we reach harbor, I will make sure that your name is dirt, and you never get another passenger or cargo to transport again." Yeah, pretty unbelievable that he would yell at the captain in front of his crew and threaten him for doing the exact thing he was told to do. And against his advice, no less. Before he was done shouting, my jester was whispering to the rest of the group. "When we reach harbor, keep him busy. Whatever you have to do, just don't let him speak to anyone off this ship for a couple of hours. I will not let this stand, but I need your help." She then retired to her cabin for the rest of the trip to write. See, one of the skills she had acquired as a jester was writing poetry and songs. And sometimes, the dice know poetic justice, and I freaking god-rolled that one. Oh my goodness, I can just imagine. See, one of the things about L5R is that it's a roll and keep D10 system. Should any of the dice come up at 10, they explode, meaning you get to roll another die for each 10. If any of those come up 10s, they explode, and on it goes. So what would have been a somewhat decent roll can turn into some truly meteoric numbers. I'd love to know what the final total was. With the assurances of the Bushi that she would look after the jester's luggage and find lodging, the jester snuck off the ship and headed towards the nearest tavern. While the rest of the party avoided helping the courtier move his luggage, frequently misplaced the courtier's belongings, or just generally distracted him, the jester put on a show in every tavern she could find around the harbor, singing the song of the heroic captain and his skillful, majestic dive through the maelstrom, making sure to get patrons to join in on the chorus. By the time the courtier stepped off the ship, the catchy song about the now legendary captain was spreading outwards from the harbor. Never mind about how the character felt about being utterly thwarted in his, quote, revenge plan. The rage of the player, with red face and veins throbbing in his forehead, was a sight to behold when he realized the captain he was going to disgrace was now a hero of the harbor, and his fame was rapidly spreading through the rest of the town. The end. This story is absolutely amazing, and I have to applaud OP's incredibly creative social maneuvering. That was really clever, and really shows what a true courtier is capable of. It sounds to me like the courtier only wanted that position simply for the power it would give him. I don't know how many times I've run into people that had taken a role or position, both in-game and out, simply for the power, but never acted as that role actually demanded, or took the responsibility that went with it. I'm glad that you and the others were able to have fun with it, OP, and hope that you have since found a much better romantic partner. If Courtier was that bad in game, I can only imagine what he was like in a relationship. Now, some of you might be wondering why the group, or the GM, didn't talk to this guy, to let him know that his character's actions weren't all that great and could seriously hinder or harm the party's reputation in game. This question was actually brought up in the comments, and OP answered it. Turns out that everyone was actually having a lot of fun going around this guy's back, much like in this story throughout the entire campaign. The GM took note of their fun, realized that the courtier would never get it, and just rolled with it. It was a bonding experience for the rest of the group, and honestly, sometimes you just need something like this. Meet a person in or outside of the group dynamics to act as a sort of common enemy that everyone can enjoy complaining about. There's an excellent quote from the TV show Hannibal that I think applies quite nicely to this situation. There is a common emotion we all recognize and have not yet named: the happy anticipation of being able to feel contempt. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had an experience like this? Is there someone in your group dynamic that acts as the foil for everyone else? Oh, and if you would like to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. All of these things help me to keep the algorithm Shoggoth locked away in its protective circle. So, any of these things would really help me out? I don't want to get eaten. And with that, it's time to say goodnight. I will see you all next time, my lovely cultists, when the stars align. Today's story shows what happens when a player tries to be a character far more clever than tries to play, not be. Many thanks to Reddit user Waxdoll42 for allowing me to share, not show. By the time we got to the mission that is the topic of this piece, the Bushi was going. So then we.
I hope you have.
When we met. See, one of the skills she had. Never mind about how the character felt about. That's way too bitchy. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you enjoyed the. Anyway, thank you so much for.